Hey y'all, welcome back to Right at the Wire. Well, as part of our daily stakes posting for Saratoga, we're going to take a look at Friday's stakes race, which is the Lake George. Really good group of 3-year-olds on the turf, and a pretty exciting race. So let's take a look at it. The Grade 3 Lake George Stakes is the ninth on Friday's card at Saratoga, and it's run on the inner turf at a mile for 3-year-old fillies, and this is a really good field. Number one is Queen Picasso. Strained by Christophe Clement, you get Jose Ortiz aboard. Christophe is great second off the layoff, and this one showed some really nice talent in that last race coming off the layoff. At 7 furlongs, was really not much doubt who was going to win it. Just settled right off the pace and pushed a button when the time came and just went right by him. Very solid effort. Fully expect this one to improve, and definitely a player in here. The one hole is a little bit of a concern. Might get covered up a little bit. Might be hard to get free, but aside from that, all systems go here. Surge capacity is one of the four Chad Browns in here, and it's New York and it's turf, so every race turns out to be, in this case, the Klarovich Classic. But nonetheless, surge capacity in the her first effort, uh, really solid. Was a little green. I thought seemed to have a pretty. Sammy Camacho had a pretty hard hold on this one all the way through, and ran with her head up. So there's definitely some greenness there, but finished nicely and seemed to have plenty in the tank left, and that was I thought was the most impressive thing. Now there is other speed in this race, but of the speed, I think this one's got the most upside, and I think a move forward is certainly likely. Joel Rosario's seemed to have found his game again. He's riding well, and it's Chad Brown, so I think this one is a pretty good contender here. Tax implications, another one from Chad Brown, and didn't do anything wrong in the last race at all. Rated at the back, swept out 3 wide, and was leading in the stretch. It just got run down by Liguria, and I think really more than anything else, Liguria is just a better horse right now. Now, this one could certainly take a step forward. It's entirely possible you get a great turf rider in Manny Franco. Certainly going to be in the mix. Not sure this one's good enough to win. Liguria is coming into this race exactly the way you want. Class level is improving as the class levels increase. So this one is definitely on the upswing. It's third off the layoff and had a really impressive kick in the wild applause to get by tax implications. Fully expect another move forward here. I think this one's a win candidate. Revelita is kind of interesting. Yet another Chad Brown. Just seems to always be the bridesmaid. Just always seems to somebody's going to beat her. And that's really the only knock on this one. You can't. This one's been a model of consistency. Runs the same race every time. It's just there always seem to be better horses, and I don't think it's much different here. So I think this one's certainly one you have to use underneath. But I feel it kind of dubious that this one would be have a chance to win it. Little Miss Moonlight is a first effort against winners. I think kind of told the tale. It was an okay effort at Canterbury, but this is a pretty big step up in class. And you see the buyers are a little light in comparison to the rest of this field. You do get Luis Saez, but I don't think that's going to be enough here, so I would pass. Utilization rate, yet another Chad Brown for Klarovich, and you do get Irad Ortiz, which is, if you want to take a look at the jockey roulette wheel, it is kind of interesting that Irad fell here, where he's been on some of the others. This one has improved steadily, but not necessarily at the level of some of the others. And if you look at the two-turn effort there in the maiden, breaking the maiden, it was set slow fractions. I'm not sure that's going to be possible in this race with the other speed, particularly with the two signed on. So, this one certainly seems to be a fit here. I just don't like her as well as I do some of the others, and particularly for the speed horses. I think the 2 is a better bet, and I just don't see this one having a chance to wire. So I think things don't look very good here, even with a rat aboard. Trying My Heart Out is kind of interesting. This one has put together some pretty good efforts at some really big prices. 42 to 1 in the last one, and beating a pretty good field. And then you go back to Breaking the Maiden at 23 to 1, where she beat Utilization Rate. Really the question is which horse shows up here? Do you get that one, or do you get the one who was kind of dull in the N1X allowance or in the optional claimer? So that's really the question here. When I see a horse like this, I automatically toss for the most part, because it usually means when the class levels get higher that this one necessarily won't bring their A game, and I'm not sure it's good enough regardless. And there is other speed in here. I just think there's a lot of things working against this one. Princess Patina is a pretty interesting horse. You get Todd Pletcher, and this one's coming second off the layoff. Yeah, that Penn Oaks wasn't the greatest. You know, you'd like to think that could have done a little better, being being basically an even money in the race with Flavian Pratt aboard. But that was the first start after a fairly long layoff, or not a long layoff, but a decent layoff. So may have needed a race. It's not always, even though Todd Pletcher's good off the bench, sometimes horses just need a race. It was the first start with the team, so maybe he's still getting his feet wet with this one. Showed some ability out in California. Now, granted, sorry, California, but the class level of the turf races out there isn't as good as it is in the East, so that's a little bit of a worry. But you can't deny that this one showed some talent, and I'll have to believe with the second start with Todd Pletcher that this one will run a better race. I think you're going to get some pretty good value, and that's really the appeal more than anything else. I think underneath is probably more likely, but Donald Disney is a really good owner. That's a nice ownership group, so he doesn't send out cupcakes. So this one might surprise you, and you're going to get a good price, be coming off what is probably going to be a pretty hot pace. Secret Money is trained by Brendan Walsh. If I had Tyler Gaffalione aboard, I'd be a little more interested. This one's stretching out for the first time, and probably isn't going to be a problem. But in this field, I think it's a lot to ask, doing a two-turn race for the first time against a pretty salty field. And that's really my only objection with this one. There's been some talent shown. Here you can see at the sprint level has done pretty well. But Woodbine's not Saratoga, so I'm just going to wait and see with this one. So let's take a look at our top 5 for the Lake George. Number 1 is Liguria. I think this horse is coming into this race in great form. Displayed a really nice kick in the Wild Applause. Is moving forward and should have pace to run to. I think it's a logical win candidate for Chad Brown. Number 2 is Surge Capacity. I'm really intrigued by this horse. Ran really greenly last time, but seemed to be have a lot more in the tank if needed. And I think if this one can make another step forward, which is more than likely, is the speed of the speed, and does have the potential to wire the field. Number 3 is Queen Picasso. Christophe Clement, this horse had a really nice race last time. 2 turns shouldn't be a problem. Logical that this one would move forward under Clement. I think a definite contender, just sitting off the pace. If she's good enough, she has a chance. Number 4 is Tax Implications. Going to have pace to run to, just doesn't have as good a kick as Liguria. That's the bottom line right now. This one is a good horse, and if something goes wrong with Liguria, it could very well take it down. I just like Liguria's chances a little better. And then number 5 is Revelita, always the bridesmaid. She always runs a race, just always horses better, and I think that's the case here. So we'll take Liguria at number 5, likely to be under as she always is. So that's the top 5 for the Lake George. Certainly, if you like the content here, there is more available to you at RunAtTheWire.com. In particular, for you weekend warriors, there's a really good package tailor-made just for you. You get 3 full race cards for Saratoga, all the races broken down, including the 2-year-old maidens, and I think you'll get a lot out of it. So go on over there and take a look. There's something for everybody there for Saratoga for sure. If you do like what you see here, of course, please like and subscribe, and we do thank you for coming by. I hope our analysis is going to help you in your wagering strategy, and I wish you the best of luck this weekend. We'll continue to have our daily stakes posting, as well as other content. We've got the Haskell coming up, so we'll have a video for that as well, so you can look forward to that. I'll be talking to you in the very near future, of course, and until then, be well.